In Major League Soccer, there has been a lot of very good teams, legendary teams, DC United in the 90s, LA Galaxy in the 2000s and 2010s, but then there also has been a lot of very bad teams as well, horrible teams, being the one we're going to be talking about today, probably the worst team in Major League Soccer history, FC Cincinnati. What a horrible start they have had this season. It has been very abysmal. And we're going to go over every single season that they've been in Major League Soccer and why they take the title for the worst team in Major League Soccer history. Before we start even talking about their Major League Soccer career, let's take a blast straight into the past and talk about their career in the USL. They were one of the best teams. You know, their attendance was phenomenal, one of the best fan bases in North America. They always show up. And their performance on the field was also amazing as well, scoring goals left and right. The record in 2018 was 23 wins, 8 ties, and 3 losses. That's fantastic. They came first in the league. Obviously, they did crap out of the playoffs, but still, they played fantastic in the USL. They had 77 points on the season, and it was one of the best regular seasons ever. They also had the longest winning run right here. It says 10 games and an unbeaten run of 23 games. That's crazy. I've never seen that happen before, only with Phoenix Rising with their $1 beer night, but besides that, 23 games unbeaten, that is phenomenal. After this phenomenal season in 2018 by FC Cincinnati, they were awarded a franchise on May 29th, 2018. They would join the league in 2019 and become the 26th MLS franchise. You know, a lot of high expectations for them as they had an amazing USL season in 2018. And a lot of hope as well, but as we're about to find out, the hope quickly dwindled for them. Looking back, there were many warning signs that I feel like people should have picked up on of why this team was gonna, to put it bluntly, suck. First off, their USL caliber coach, Couch, stayed with the club. Most of the time, you want a new coach to come in for the new season in Major League Soccer. That was one warning sign. And the second one being, a lot of their USL guys stayed with the team. I feel like if you want to be a successful franchise, especially an expansion team, you got to bring in new players, substantial players that are going to make a difference. Kind of the same problem that Minnesota had in their first season. Didn't really make that many differences, kept a lot of the USL guys, and they played horribly. Same stuff with FC Cincinnati. With that being said, they did pick up some good players. Not enough though. Kendall Waston was their captain, picked him up from Vancouver Whitecaps. Also picked up Andrew Gutman and Frankie Amaya from the 2019 MLS Super Draft. And Frankie, what a player he has been, but unfortunately he's not with the team anymore, so I don't know what to say about this franchise. And to put the icing on the cherry, on the cake, Fernando Adi was a DP. Yes, he was a designated player. And if you have him as a DP, your season is going to be over before it even begins. In their first 4 games in their inaugural season, they actually won 2 times and picked up a tie. That's pretty good by the expansion team. They got a win against Portland at home and New England away, which in New England at Gillette Stadium, it's very hard for opposing teams to get a win. So that was great by FC Cincinnati. And they were sitting actually close to the top of the table. Now remember too, we actually made a video about this a while back, the predictions in the East, and somebody was trash talking us because he wanted FC Cincinnati top 3, and we had them bottom 3. And you'll see what happens. This short run of form only lasted, as we said before, 4 or 5 games before they went back to their very abysmal ways. In the first 11 games, Alan Koch was fired and a new coach took the helm of FC Cincinnati, being Yohan Damat, becoming the interim head coach. And then later, Ron Jans came in as well to pick up that coaching position. A lot of coaches and a lot of turmoil in FC Cincinnati. For the rest of this 2019 season, they only picked up 4 more wins and 5 more ties. Again, these numbers, horrible. One of the worst I ever saw from not only an expansion team, but just a team in general. Everything else was a loss as well. One point in the season, they had 11 losses and only 1 win. And that's not a streak you want to be going on. Now, this goes without saying. In 2019, they came in dead last, picking up that wooden spoon. Some culinary hardware, I guess you could say. At least they got a trophy of some sort. They picked up only 24 points, and they had a negative 44 goal differential. They had the least amount of goals scored and the most amount of goals conceded. Crazy record. How many goals conceded exactly? 75 goals conceded. making them the worst defense in league history. And they also had the worst goal differential in league history as well. Basically, every single stat that you don't want to be on the end of, they picked up that record this season. Okay, that's enough about 2019. Let's go over to the next season, being 2020. Ron Jans, obviously, he was sacked before the season even began. Again, they had 3 coaches their first season. The last one, Ron Jans, couldn't even make it to the next season, 2020. Before the 2020 season, obviously, you gotta make some moves. If your team performs that badly, that abysmally, you gotta make something happen. You gotta make the clock tick. And they made it tick a little bit. They got Sim De Jong, DP, Yuya Kubo, Brennan Vasquez from Nashville, and Harris Medunian from the waiver draft. And also the biggest one of all, Jurgen Lakadia on loan from Brighton, who's still with the team. Again, most of these players are with the team right now, as this was only a year ago. And I would say this, they give a lot of FC Cincinnati fans some promise, some hope to cling on to, as these players are not half bad, they're actually fairly decent. But they just couldn't really click together this season. Part of the reason why they couldn't click was because of Jurgen Lakadia. Again, he was supposed to be your main man. He was supposed to be like a top 3 striker in the whole entire league, but he turned out being a dud and not a stud. Look at these stats right here. 18 games and only 2 goals his first season, again in 2020. That's just not good enough if you want your team to produce. Job Stamm did become the coach in May of that year, 2020, but he didn't really make that much of an impact, not big enough to actually make it above that red line, the playoff zone. In his tenure, and he's still the coach today, 4 wins, 4 ties, and 15 losses in 2020. And you could say it was a worse season than the one that they had in 2019. They were awarded a wooden spoon, again, twice in a row. And it's just not a good look for this franchise. You know, the one good thing about COVID is at least their fans didn't have to see this shitstorm of a team last season. Now they do, but at least it's in a pretty stadium, West End Stadium, being one of the best stadiums in the league. Again, to add to their record of 4 wins, 4 ties, and 15 losses, they also had the worst offense in the league. Get this, only scored 12 goals that season, the least in MLS history by far. And yeah, I get it, there was less games, you know, it was a constricted season, less games were played, but still 12 goals in a 20+ game season? That's just not gonna cut it, man. Now, we covered 2 of their Major League Soccer seasons. Let's head over to their 3rd season, being this one right now, 2021. They knew they had to make some adjustments, make something happen, you know, turn some heads, mix and match, make something different down at FC Cincinnati in Ohio. And they did. They actually brought in a lot of notable names. The first one being Brenner, who they bought for $13 million from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Still only 21 years of age. You think he would make a difference, but so far this season, he really hasn't done much of anything except score a couple PKs. They also brought in former MLS player Luciano Acosta, who played for DC United. And I'll tell you this, that's actually a great pickup from the franchise. With DC, he was fantastic. Him and Wayne Rooney linking up basically every single game. I feel like Luciano Acosta could definitely do the same with Brenner. Again, right now it isn't really happening for the club as we made this video, but I feel like it could happen in the future. Maybe, hopefully, the end of this season. And lastly, they picked up Ronald Matarrita from NYCFC, who you know already. We're big NYCFC fans, so this one hurt a little bit. You know, this was a jab in the heart. Again, though, great business by FC Cincinnati. Only $500K in GAM, but there was some incentives, some bonuses, so maybe NYCFC will get a little bit more money for this. But again, great pickup by FC Cincinnati. But one of the biggest key departures was Kendall Waston. Again, your captain, your main man in the back, gone just like that. That's going to hurt your defense, and you already see it happening this season as NYCFC scored 5 goals past them at Yankee Stadium a couple weeks ago. You know, I'd be lying if I said I thought this team was going to suck this year, even with the departure of Kendall Waston, as I thought they were going to be pretty good. Again, a lot of big names, big signings that they made during the offseason. I thought it would be enough, but quite frankly, it just isn't. You know, their defense was the one area that they really had to level up, but they did virtually nothing to it. In their last 3 games, they conceded 11 goals. Okay, 11 goals. Again, I talked about it before, the NYCFC game, where NYCFC conceded well, scored 5 goals in one game. They already sit bottom of the East with a -8 goal differential, and their fans have already started sending them wooden spoons to the front office. Now, if you ask me, I think that's a brilliant idea by the fans to put that together, assemble that together, put all the wooden spoons, as now the front office knows they got to do something, or else these fans are not going to be pleased, and they're probably not going to show up to the new stadium, West End. Their center back duo of Hagelin and Tom Pedersen is borderline laughable. Not good enough to be in Major League Soccer, and probably not good enough to be in the USL as well. Not any tier of American soccer, if you will. You know, it's just not looking too good for them. I would like a new coach. I feel like Stam isn't really the man to take them forward. I would definitely like a new coach. And again, maybe some new players. I really hope this team can get their act together. You know, I do like Cincinnati. I love the fans again. One of the best fan bases in Major League Soccer. But as of now, they got to make some big changes, big improvements, do something for the team to actually be good. Again, 2018, very good team in the USL. 2019, wooden spoon. 2020, wooden spoon. And will they go for the spoon trifecta? I think they will.